Hello, my name is host Eric, and I would like to talk in this video about hypnotism, self-hypnotism, audio self-hypnotism, magical power on audio tape stuff, and generally the sense of modifying one's own behavior and nature by way of hypnotism. Self-convincing of some sort. So first, before we go any further, this topic of hypnotism is one that I remember always being curious about when I was younger and wasn't really sure what it was and wanted to learn how to do it and hypnotize people. But I don't know. Hi, Taylor. I just started a video on hypnotism.
I heard that.
Yeah. So, well, I've always been interested in it since I was a kid. Of course, when I was a kid, I got exposed to it by cartoons, and most of the old cartoons. When I was growing up, we had a lot of time was spent in the cartoon channels on the old cartoons from the 40s and the 50s, and some new cartoons that were always super shitty by comparison, right? It was like super shitty 70s cartoons. Where it was like Hanna-Barbera cartoons where they spent the dead minimum budget they could possibly spend and they just repeated backgrounds and it was awful, right? So they put a lot of the old cartoons on, the Bugs Bunny stuff, or the well-drawn stuff. But that's where I was exposed to the notion of hypnotism, because of course in the cartoons it's always very easy to hypnotize people and very powerful to hypnotize them. Once you've got them hypnotized, they become your personal slave. So I always thought that was a curious power and wanted to know more about it. And my mom and dad, when I asked them about it, would always be sort of like, oh, that's not really anything, Eric, that's just kind of bullshit. Or they just sort of give me, they weren't really definitive about it. They'd say, well, I mean, I know Mary got hypnotized and she quit smoking. I don't know what to tell you. That sort of thing. But they didn't buy into it, basically. So I'm first of all curious what it is. Is it a thing, or is it not a thing, or what? And then I guess other questions are contingent upon that. Do you know anything about it, Taylor?
You have not experienced it at all besides just cartoon version?
I may have been hypnotized at some point when I was maybe a kid.
I doubt you have.
You don't think I have?
I think that I haven't been around it much. I went to a comedy show actually with a hypnotist, and he pulled up 12 people on stage, and eventually kind of whittled down the audience to about, by the end I think he had 5 people on stage who were thoroughly hypnotized. I was the first one kicked off stage. I got pulled on stage. He was hypnotizing people, saw that it wasn't working, and sent me on my way back to the table. One of my buddies who was in town visiting, he was very, very hypnotized. He didn't make it the last 5 because he was too hypnotized. I mean, he just kind of lost. He ended up getting kicked out of the bar, the comedy club, hypnotized and drunk because he just started peeing on the balcony.
He was hypno-drunk.
He was hypno-drunk. In a town, he's visiting from out of town. He has never been to this town. We found him at about 5 in the morning, but so yeah, it works for some people. It doesn't for others. I don't know the divider, but I think I guess intuitively knowing that I was sitting there trying to figure out what he was doing, I think he was trying to solve it. Probably that takes the
If you're trying to make let it work, it probably works a lot better, I would guess. If you're trying to say, okay, let me cooperate as best I can.
I'm not a cooperative person.
Well, I know. I'm not saying that's likely to. I'm not saying you're likely to reach that conclusion. I'm just saying that if one were to reach that conclusion, it would probably work a lot better.
Right.
Right.
That's not my default conclusion on anything.
No. JC, have you ever been hypnotized? or Nandi or Diamond? JC's never been hypnotized. Have you ever hypnotized somebody else? No. No. Zach, you ever been hypnotized?
No.
Anybody got any opinions about it? Diamond, you ever been? No, you never been hypnotized either. No opinions?
I think this is susceptible to it. My impression was that he had way more control over strangers. I don't know why you would put yourself in that situation. You have to really, really trust that this person has your best interest at heart to go into a room alone with a hypnotherapist for half an hour and pay them money to not know what the hell they did.
I mean, that's true, but I mean, it sort of gives them a lot of credit for their superpowers a little bit, you know. But I guess you have to believe it anyway if you're going there to get something fixed.
You either have to believe it or you're desperate for a solution.
Right.
You're kind of getting into, pseudoscience.
It becomes tricky though, as far as like, well, okay, if I have to believe it for it to work, then can I believe it for it to work while simultaneously disbelieving it if it tries to do something I don't want?
I don't believe it's. I guess I didn't understand the question totally, but I don't at all think it was just a kind of a self-willed placebo effect.
Well, it doesn't have to be a self-willed. It could be. I mean, you could imagine something at least. I don't know if this is the case with this, but you could imagine something that says you have to believe it at the outset for it to work. But once it's working, it no longer requires your consent, your ongoing active consent.
Right. I think that there's a big element of that. I don't know that belief is. I think you got to be more open to it and not try to game the system.
Well, what is it if it doesn't require belief then?
Mental cooperation. You got to hand over your thoughts to them. They start telling you what to think about, how to breathe, what to look at. You're doing this. They take control of your cognitive functions, slowly. You got to be willing to hand that over. And I have no idea really what I'm talking about. This is just my opinion from an evening with it.
Well, I mean, it sounds more. What you just said sounds like a pretty good description of it. I don't have an answer to it anyway. I'm not saying but. That usually means it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So that seems like a good explanation to me. Any other thoughts on this topic of hypnosis? I used to want the superpower, but I don't want it anymore. Go ahead, Pepsi. You were saying?
I've been hypnotized before.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
I didn't ask you, huh?
Yeah.
It's because a bunch of new people came into the room. I wanted to include them. Go ahead. Tell us about it.
I'm curious, what is it like? Or how do you get there?
So this was like a couple summers ago, and there's this like carnival that kind of comes in town, and it's kind of ghetto-y, so because there's a hypnotist there, and I thought it was bullshit, and of course I just tried it out, and it didn't really work at first. Then it sort of did. Then the last thing I remember, when I kind of snapped out of it, I woke up like in a Denny's parking lot with nothing. Well, I only had underwear on, and the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme started playing.
How did that happen?
Was it playing?
What?
Was the song really playing somewhere, or
I don't know. I heard it.
was that your trigger? Come
Maybe.
out?
Maybe. It was like boom, 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 do, 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 boom. That's how it goes.
Yeah, and that was another kind of impression that I was left with is the guy was real thorough about hypnotizing the people that he was hypnotizing, and then just kind of nonchalant about like, yeah, get them out of it or they're not out of it. Well, yeah, their friends are here; they'll get somewhere.
And then for some reason, ending credits started rolling for some reason.
So then, when you snapped out of it at some point, what happened? You just were like, back. What? Tell me about it. You came
Well,
out
after
of it.
that was over, yeah, it was normal. It was embarrassing and weird. I don't know if I want to say that the guy. I don't know. He drugged me. I'm not sure.
I think he drugged you. I mean,
Or
it's possible.
something happened.
So I mean, you're telling me your experience with the carny hypnotist didn't go well?
Nah.
But that's where they hire all the best hypnotists.
Similar to
True.
that moment of just kind of losing consciousness is pretty consistent with what I heard out of people.
Really?
You're there, you're calm, you're kind of going along with the calmness stuff, and then, huh? What happened?
Yeah.
That's because I asked a lot of people afterwards. I was trying to dissect I was trying to figure out if they were plants. For a while, I thought they were all just actors. Really, really good actors. The longer the performers
I
are
think the
on,
reason.
these are really good actors. They're really consistent.
I think my friends were messing with me when I was hypnotized because they were with me.
Well, yeah, I don't. When I was a kid, I used to get these tapes, these audio tapes on cassette tape, and play them on my cassette player in my room, in my stereo, which had an LP player and a cassette player, and they would say things like, the tape would say like, learn how to view auras, magical auras, right? Like you can view people's magical auras, and you're supposed to listen to the tape, and it's very calming, it's very hypnosis-y kind of a thing. But it never said how to read auras on it, right? It just said a bunch of stuff about the nature of auras, a little bit, like and the aura is red if it's so like a few things like that, and it's all like very slowly said over tinkly music and stuff. But the problem is, of course, it didn't teach you how to read auras. It would say relax your eyes, But that's not. I relax my eyes all the time. Am I always reading auras? So the problem I had with it as a little kid was that it didn't actually deliver what it promised, and I remained unable to read people's auras. Shockingly, I was able to make my eyes really not focused by just relaxing, but I had always been able to do that, and it wasn't any aura scene as far as I could tell. I remember being disappointed by the lack of magic there.
I think that there's some, I don't even know how to explain it. I think that some people are just kind of in sync or in harmony with things like that, where they can't just be calm and then, sense that. I've had a few people tell me my color is red or purple.
Which one is it, red or purple?
Depends on the person. And I don't have a lot of, put a lot of stock in someone,
What does it mean to have a red aura?
It's intense.
And what's purple? Imperious?
They're basically the same thing. I don't know, it's one of those. It's a conversation. It's happened probably 3 times, and it's never been a conversation I've really wanted to pursue with this person.
Well, I've been looking at your aura for a while now, Taylor. I gotta tell you, as far as I can tell, it's brown. You have a brown aura.
It's not brown.
Oh, it's not brown? Are
You're
you
full of
sure?
shit.
Okay. Maybe see. I gotta hone my. Maybe I don't have it tuned right. It's like you have to time it, like a timing belt. Your aura reading. If you don't have it calibrated properly, you might see brown as red or red as brown. You know.
I kind of suspect it's just people's. It's just another way of kind of pointing out that I'm a bit of an assertive personality. I kind of think it's just people.
But do they say that? Do they say I see a red aura?
No, it's not. It's not like literally I see the aura. It's not like God sat here and we spoke about repenting and stuff. It's a little bit more kind of, I don't know, hippie-ish. Yeah.
Wait, is that like a personality thing?
No, it's
Okay.
It's kind of garbage.
I was thinking of something else.
Yeah, it's garbage. It's just like new agey garbage. But see, I like the idea of self hypnosis. One thing, my granddad, not my biological granddad, but my functional granddad, he was into that mind over body stuff, and he was into giving me little when I go to bed, he'd give me this sort of visualization hypnosis talk thing that made me go to sleep. Like, boom. You're filling up with an orange liquid. It's very warm and calming. And he told these sort of things. Like, it was like that. Like the thing I got on the tape, right? Self-hypnosis. That's what made me want to get it, I think, is because I liked the hypnosis-y style things that my granddad did. But that was more like a go-to-sleep thing. I don't know what you call that.
Well, I had a few coaches throughout high school who would do that stuff the day before a game or a race.
Really?
You get the whole team to lay down on the floor of the school, and he'd talk us. And
Taylor, let me see that knife you're holding.
it's a Kershaw.
I should see this. It looks bigger for a second. You went right in front of the camera. It's like this big fucking machete-looking thing. Oh, it's funny. Okay, so they use that visualization technique. As a coach, I don't use that. I don't use any sort of everyone calm and breathe and stuff like that. I've never thought about it.
You're coaching debate. I think it would be counter-effective at debate where you need to actively use your brain. It's not like in sports where you're kind of trying to get in the zone.
I still hype them up. It's probably not useful for an in-round thing. It's not useful during the middle of the round. They're going to say, "Oh, I remember Eric trying to hype us up." I think it's helpful in a sense of makes them put that last little bit of effort in before the round, Because I give them speeches. I give them my war speeches a lot. That, we walk from this tournament with the blood of our foes at the bottom of our shoes. Let's go fuck their shit up, Like that kind of speech, right?
That's epic shit.
Yeah, it's pretty. I feel it too. I'm not bullshitting them at all. I want blood, So I want to see I tell them I want to see the other kids coming out of those rounds crying. Why aren't you making them cry?
Do they ever cry?
Yeah, we do cry sometimes, and I stress that if you do make them cry, you have to stop right there. That means you've gone too far. Okay, but I'm very proud of you anyway, because it needs to happen sometimes. Otherwise, it's not serious. What's going on? Sometimes you got to hammer them if they're being stupid.
I know exactly what you.
I don't mean to be. I don't want to be seen as non-empathetic. I know this really sounds like oh my God, Eric's such a fucking asshole. But you get there are some other enemies. I have enemies too, right? Especially want to beat those people.
There's worse things in life than being an asshole. You could be a loser of the debate tournament.
Yes, correct. That's way worse. That's way worse.
And sometimes you got to show them not just that you are the winner, but that you own this shit.
Well, if so, especially if you
You
somebody
should have walked in with a little bit more humility, get that pep out of their step.
right, yeah, exactly. There's too much pep in your step. Little Missy over there.
It makes you stop.
Well, what's the topic of this video? Taylor and Eric talk ENTP stuff.
It kind of evolves into that.
It does. I love these fucking conversations, dude. They're great. I don't know. I don't know if the audience loves them, but I love them.
And then I had to do some shit or something. But I just today watched the videos you and your daughter, and I was busting up. It was hilarious because I could relate to both of you. You like bickering about the dishes. Like, oh my god, he's fucking right. I do exactly what he is. And oh my god, no. Well, shit.
Well, yeah, she's not very cooperative with me about video making at all. I wish I could get her on to do some videos now and make her like sit down and actually listen to me and learn a little bit and say, okay, we're gonna have you do a couple of solo videos here, and you need to cut out all the fucking likes, you need to cut out all the whatevers and the bullshit that she gets bad habits with her speaking.
I didn't hear too many likes or whatever.
Well, I mean, I get on her.
I guess I wasn't listening for him. I was more just kind of amused at the amount of ENTPing coming out of the screen.
Yeah, she's a handful.
I had exactly the same spoon issue this morning.
The spoon issue? What's the spoon issue?
There was something about she would do the dishes if she needed a spoon.
Right.
And that was just kind of an example. But I had just gotten done dealing with my daughter who came in and said, "Dad, I need a spoon. Eat cereal. Where's all the spoon?"
Well, dude, there were no coffee cups. I was like, where are all the coffee cups? I did the unthinkable. I went into her room, and there they were, and they all have like mold floating in them because they've been sitting there for God knows how long. Of course, she doesn't clean it up, and so I need a coffee cup, so I got to go do some of her dishes. She's very inconsiderate.
Because we can get all of our meals in paper wrappers, but coffee's first thing in the morning.
Right, you need cups. What I've tried to do in general, I have a strategy for dealing with dishes, by the way. Throw almost all of your dishes away.
I've done that.
Did it work for you?
Yeah, and then I just replace them with paper.
Yeah, right. And then when you run out of paper, you don't have that many dishes to do to get back to the dishes.
Only the pots that you cooked stuff in.
Those are the problems.
They are.
Yeah.
Microwave meals are getting better, though.
You know, I don't have a lot of microwavable stuff. I should start doing that. But I have my quick and easy shit that I can make, you know. JC, Nandi, I want you guys to get involved in this conversation as much as possible. Let's find a topic that you guys want to talk about. Thank you for watching Talking with Famous People.